Welcome back. There's been a spike in the killings of members of the LGBTIQ+ community. Activists are calling for urgent government action after almost weekly reports in social media highlighting the brutal killings of people because of their sexual orientation. Heidi Jakos is following the story for us. She joins us now live. So Heidi, a group of activists meeting today, giving a list of demands. What are they saying the president needs to do?
Yes, certainly, Shahan. And this comes at the back of the fact that we have seen a number of people murdered in the past couple of weeks due to their decision on their sexual orientation. And basically what activists are calling for is for the president to urgently address this issue, to at least say something, because they feel as though his silence is truly deafening, and they believe that as the president he should address this matter just as he addresses gender-based violence in the country. He should also address the matter at hand currently. They're also demanding for funds to be made available for committees in Parliament as well as organisations to further educate communities, cultural groups and broader society with regards to matters at hand, especially when it comes to sexual orientation. But they've given the president a deadline for Friday afternoon to at least send out a statement, condemn the killings, the brutal murders that have been happening. Otherwise, they will further mobilise, and we will most likely see the community taking to the streets next week. Of course, they are saying that more needs to be done from not just from government, but religious groups, communities and cultural groups as well. So those are some of the demands that have been set out by this community.
All right, so let's take a listen to one of their demands.
For an end to the violent attacks on the LGBTIQ+ community. Furthermore, the government of South Africa to urgently finalize and enact the Prevention and Combating of Hate Crime and Hate Speech Bill, which was first drafted in 2016 and was approved by Cabinet in 2018. Properly fund resources and restore the functionality of failing entities such as the National Task Teams and response teams, as well as the provincial task teams that were meant to address violence against LGBTIQ+ South Africans. To also create dedicated LGBTIQ+ desks in each province to address the needs of the LGBTIQ+ citizens.
And then, of course, there's a call for religious leaders to play their part.
Yes, certainly, and I think this is an extremely crucial one, Shahan, because what the community is basically saying is that those within the community, specifically religious leaders, have church every Sunday, and they come up with these ideas that they can cure those when they have a certain preference, certain sexual orientation. And the activists are saying that this is completely unacceptable, because the way homes are structured, people go back and they listen to what is said in the church. And this is when killings are further exacerbated, when they are misled and when they are told that people who decide differently on their sexual orientation are not normal or not welcome in a community, and this just creates a spike in killings. So religious leaders have also been called on to contribute positively to educating the community and educating homes and cultural groups with regards to this. Let's listen to the activists once again.
Us and our lives as even worse than animals. That is unspeakable. We cannot have leaders like that. We cannot have people who are listened to by thousands of people perpetuating hate and instilling these teachings and thinking to people who are actually looking up to them, right? And more than that, we have parents who sit in these churches who go back home and find out that their children are queer, and then they find themselves in a very difficult situation. They want to go to heaven, but then they love their children.
You know, I think the thing is that this is not a preference, this is a sexual orientation. You don't have a choice. You don't choose to be gay or straight or bisexual or queer, anything like that. So, of course, we know that there are calls for government to interact. What is government saying, if anything at all?
So the ANC Women's League was there today to speak about this and to say that, in fact, they have agreed with the president to meet next week to discuss this further. But, of course, Shahan, we're hearing from this press conference today that government has not been forthcoming. We saw the community protesting and marching to Parliament last week to say something urgently needs to be done. People cannot be discriminated and isolated in these communities because of their sexual orientation. And the brutal murders that are taking place is horrifying. This community is living in anxiety and fear constantly, and them coming out and projecting their voice, it identifies them, and that's why they're even more fearful. That's why they're saying that the government needs to speak, the president needs to speak. But the ANC Women's League is saying that by next week they are expecting the president to sit down with them on a strategy, the same way the president is dealing with GBV. The community is saying the same way the president should be dealing with this matter. Let's listen to the ANC Women's League on this.
We received that commitment. Initially, we were supposed to have President Ramaphosa come address our strategic session, which is scheduled to take place, or initially was supposed to take place this coming weekend. But seeing that there is high appetite and need to have the strategic session as a session that has national footprint, we are looking at the possibilities of hosting President Ramaphosa midweek next week.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Heidi Jaka is covering that story for us.